If you're looking to get the most out of your Amok Draumr hammock, you're in the right place. I've had plenty of nights swinging between the trees in this hammock, and I put together my top 10 pro tips to help you stay warmer, sleep flatter, and make your setup as quick and convenient as possible. So let's get into it. So if you look at Amok's documentation, every single one of these tarp tie-outs goes down into the ground and is staked out. If you look at my setup, not a single one of these tie-outs goes down into the ground. They are all attached to trees. This gives me a much higher canopy, making it easier for me to get in and out of. If there was a big storm coming in with wind, then definitely I would probably tie these out to the ground to make sure that I'm nice and secure. But if there isn't, they're all tied out to the trees. And I've done that by making sure at the end of every single one of the tarp tie-out strings, I've got a carabiner. So I can just loop it around the tree and clip it on. Then I can put it tight with the adjustment mechanisms attached to the tarp. It's extremely useful that we've got those. In some cases, the string is not long enough to get around a very large, thick tree or a tree that's inconveniently too far away. And what I've had to do there is extend it with a bit of paracord. So just attach a bit of paracord, loop it around, clip it on, job done. I then leave that paracord on the tarp for next time, because the likelihood is you're going to end up needing it again and again. So for the carabiners, I've got another one on the outside here, one more on the outside here. I've got two hanging off the ridgeline outside, and I've got another 3 or 4 that are inside the bug net that are accessible whilst I'm inside. It's a much easier way. They're extremely practical. You're going to need them for loads of stuff when you want to hang stuff, make use of stuff, put your tarp up, make sure everything can be done really quickly and in a dot. Slept in this hammock overnight, and you can see I've left my jacket attached to a carabiner on one of these little clips. So right now we're going to talk about boot storage and where you put your boots in this item. I'll talk about camp shoes separately. For people that use camp shoes, it's a different situation. But when you've got your boots can be essential, and you don't want those to get stolen by animals in the night. So I do not recommend storing your boots on the floor where some little creature might come along, sniff them, think they're tasty to eat, run away, and then you've lost them. So this is how I deal with boot storage in the Amok Draumr. The first thing I'm not in the Draumr yet, is undo my boots completely. Then, with my bootlaces, I'm going to tie a knot quite close to the boot. You can do that as a slip knot. Now my boots are undone, so I can get in the Draumr. Usual system, grab onto the straps and slide. My boots are not yet in the Draumr, they're hanging off the side, and I can remove them, and with this hoop, clip them onto a carabiner. So my boots are wet, it has been raining, everything is wet here, and they are hanging. Now they're out of my way, they're not dripping on anything, but I'll show you how they look. So here they are, they're hanging. I've got a carabiner here, ready to go. No little animals can come along and take them in the middle of the night. They are stored away securely. If I need to get them in the middle of the night, I can just unclip them, slip them on with my feet outside of the hammock, and I can go. If I'm just getting up for a wee or to go and do a little task, I don't even need to mess around with the laces, so it's really quick and really easy. In the morning, put them on, pull out the slip knot, and I'm off. Now let's say you're using camp shoes. It really depends on the sort of trip you're doing. When I'm doing my wilderness trip, I definitely take camp shoes. I will always still hang my boots inside the Draumr, because losing your boots, if an animal comes and decides they smell nice and takes them away, would be a trip-ending disaster. And on a wilderness trip, that might then involve a helicopter rescue or a float plane rescue. Imagine that just from losing your boots. So it's always better to keep them hanging up inside where you know they're secure. If you're using camp shoes, you can just pop them off and leave them on the side underneath the tarp, and they'll be absolutely fine. And now you can see how easy it is to pop them back on, put my foot straight out of the hammock, and nothing is getting wet or dirty. At night when I sleep, as you know, I'll use this as a quilt. But when I get in, the first thing I do is take my trousers off, and I'm going to put my trousers and tuck them through here. So they're accessible and they're easy for me to get to. Any bits and bobs obviously go in the pockets and whatnot. Socks, maybe I'll take those off if it's hot and I'll pop them in my boots. T-shirt, maybe it comes off, maybe it doesn't. Again, it all depends on how hot it is and how comfortable I want to be at night. What I've typically done with my Draumr is I've opened it and I've inflated the sleeping pad on top, and then I've attempted to slide it into the cavity. What I've started to do now is put the uninflated sleeping pad into the pouch, line the inflation hole up at the end, and inflate the sleeping pad inside the Draumr. No way the sleeping pad is going to be able to touch the floor. It doesn't happen. Now, whilst it's inflating, I am going to have to do a little bit of management to make sure everything is unfurled and stretched out. Tell me that that is not so much easier than trying to inflate this on the ground and sliding the thing in. It doesn't require anywhere near as much space, it's quick and it's instant. So bonus tip, when I'm putting down the sleeping pad, I'll deflate it inside the pad socket, take it out, hang it over the ridge line. And then from the ridge line, I can very easily add some folds, like this, one, and then back on the other side, like that. And now it's ready to roll without ever touching the ground. Don't ever let your sleeping pad touch the ground. The next thing to mention is you'll notice here, I've doubled up on the Whoopie straps. That's because these two trees where I want to place my hammock are too far away. Now when you do this, and it is possible to do this, there are certain things you need to remember. First of all, the Whoopie straps need to be up really, really high as you can get them. The further the trees are apart, the more sag there is in the middle, the more likely you're going to get pad grounding. So you want the Whoopie straps to be as high as you could possibly get them. Secondly, when you attach them, these can be quite difficult to get undone. I've just connected these up with lark's heads. And then finally, you need to pull this really tight to make sure you've got enough height. Next, I want to talk about entry into the hammock in high mosquito environments. I'm in the UK, it's raining, this is not a high mosquito environment, but I do use this when I go on my wilderness trips and there are huge numbers of mosquitoes. So how do you get in the hammock without getting 100, 1,000 mosquitoes in there with you that you then have to spend your time killing? And I'm going to take you through that process now. The first thing we're going to do is extend the bug net back around the hammock. So the bug net is closed, and I'm going to open up just a tiny gap. This much. Not very much, but just enough that I'm able to climb in up through here without getting huge numbers of mosquitoes in it. So let's do that right now. So I'm in the hammock and I can zip myself up. And now I'm in, secure of any mosquitoes. These are the strings that are used on the zipper pulls for the bug net. These strings are not long enough for you to be able to easily unzip and zip up the bug net from inside it without feeling like you're going to get unbalanced and slide forwards. So what you need to do is replace these strings with longer loops of paracord so they're easier to gain access to. So I've reattached mine and you can see them now, and what I've got is simple overhand knots attached up here with just a simple lark's head. So now I've got my longer zipper pulls, I'll slide down and I want to get a bit of speed up because the key is to get it across the apex in one smooth motion. Then you can just slide it up on the other end, nice and easy. And now I'm all bug free. I feel like getting in and out of the hammock has been done a lot, but I'm going to go over it again just because it's quick and simple, and I definitely changed my own way of getting in and out of it with use. I previously suggested getting in and out of it from the front of the hammock and moving backwards. Now my preference is sideways, and I find sideways is much easier. So I come in from the side, tip this out of the way, and I'll grab the middle strap here, pop that under my bum, grab the left-hand strap, and then just sit in it. And you can see I can now get in, and my boots aren't inside of it. So now let's talk about sleeping bag entry. You can see I've got my sleeping bag hung up across the ridge line here. You'll be much happier in the Amok Draumr if you forget any notion of getting into your sleeping bag. If your aim is, I want to get into my Draumr and then I'm going to get into my sleeping bag, you're going to be in for a miserable night, especially if you have to get up, go to the loo in the night or anything like that. It's just annoying. And also it's completely unnecessary. The Fajol mat that you're on has a very high R value and is perfectly acceptable to sleep on without any sort of sleeping bag underneath you. In fact, as soon as you lie on your sleeping bag, all that expensive insulation you paid for squishes down to nothing and does absolutely nothing. Your insulation from your where your body touches the sleeping pad is entirely from the sleeping pad. Now that gives you some options. So when you're going to get in your sleeping bag, inside your Amok Draumr, you're going to use it as a quilt. You're just going to rest it on top of you. It's going to be hard to film, but I'm going to try and show you me doing that right now. So undo my sleeping bag, put my feet into the foot box of the sleeping bag. And then pull the rest of the sleeping bag over me. And I'm nice and toasty in my sleeping bag. I have found that when I'm sleeping in this, I actually don't need a pillow and I don't use a pillow. Normally when I'm sleeping, I'm a front sleeper. I've never successfully front slept in here. I just find I don't have the urge. It's not perfectly flat. I'd say there's a slight kind of concave effect on the Draumr, and that makes it very, very comfortable to sleep in while sitting up. I have side slept in this, and that's perfectly acceptable and is really, really comfy with your sleeping bag. So sleeping bag as a quilt. One of my other videos, my 10 problems, I complain about the fact that what you really want in the Draumr is some clips to be able to clip your quilt system into it. Something like a Zen bivvy, it'd be really good to be able to clip your quilt system into your Draumr. But unfortunately they don't have the holes that you would need in the sleeping bag attachments for that. I'll link to that video at the end, and I'll also link to it above right now if you're interested in seeing those 10 problems. Next, a point of safety. This has never happened to me, but if it did happen, I'd want to know I was prepared for it. I want to know that if there's some sort of emergency in the night, I can get out really quickly. And something I do in all of my sleep systems, wherever I'm sleeping, unless it's under a tarp, is I'll make sure I always store the zippers in the most sensible place where I would naturally go to, and I always leave the zippers in exactly the same place every single time I'm in the shelter. So in this case, my zippers are always kept up here on the left-hand side for very, very quick access. I highly recommend you do the same. It doesn't have to be on the left-hand side, it might be on the right-hand side. I just tend to always enter the hammock on the left-hand side because I'm right-handed, and I reach over with my right arm to grab this retaining strap as I enter the hammock. So it started raining, and I thought I'd show you something else that I've done. I've got the tarp strung up, but I've only used the very front and the very back tie-out points, and everything is completely dry. So I'll show you how it looks. So at the back, I've just got that one point. That's not tied out. That's not tied out. At the front, I've got my filming camera. This point's not tied out. This one's tied out. That one's not tied out. And I'm perfectly dry. Nothing's coming through. Very, very useful. I actually have a complaint about the front and back tie-out points, saying they're pointless, but on this occasion, they've actually saved me having to do 4 tie-out points. I've only had to do 2, so I may have to adjust that opinion. I know I keep complaining about it, but why is there so much bug net in this thing? You know, there's absolutely tons of it. So that's it, 10 useful tips for using the Amok Draumr to make your night in the woods a really comfortable, pleasurable experience. What do you think? I'm not claiming to have all of the answers for this particular hammock. If you've got any ideas or things that you're doing that maybe I could learn from, I would absolutely love to hear it, so please drop in the comments. Are you doing any of these things already? If you are, please do let me know. And it's worth ending by saying, if this was a tent, these videos wouldn't exist. You wouldn't need them because the use of them is natural. The reason we use this is because this is an incredibly comfortable hammock, and it is worth having to go through the other little hassles and irritations for a really, really comfortable night's sleep in the woods. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.